So this next question comes to us about allocating IP budget challenges. You know, suffice to say, we've had a very tumultuous couple of years in industry here, recovering from the pandemic and being in the pandemic and so forth. So it wasn't uncommon for some of my businesses to quite unexpectedly be really affected by things. So figuring out how to spend that budget most effectively is crucial to driving value over time. And you're not always going to get it right, certainly, but knowing where you're under-patented and over-patented will help you make sure that for every part of the business, you have the amount of coverage that is commensurate with the opportunity in that space, right? And it's really forward-looking opportunity, because patents go, you know, once they issue, they have a 20-year term from filing. So looking forward, will you have that protection? And a lot of companies get complacent, is they'll be very aggressive about patenting for a while, and then it won't become a priority for some time. And you'll find huge holes. You also find that for some reason, some groups within the enterprise are just really engaged with the patent program, and others can't be bothered, right? But especially when you're building up a defensive patent portfolio, or you're building up a patent portfolio for acquisition, or to perhaps even assert your patents or to license them, making sure that the patents are filed around the things that are most important is absolutely crucial. So what I've done with companies is you try and break down what's happening within the enterprise and what the strategy is within the enterprise. So knowing where they spent their budget, or knowing, you know, overall, like on R&D, or knowing where the revenue is coming from and which countries for the different product lines. And then looking at the patents that relate to those to figure out whether or not it aligns very well. And often you find that it doesn't, right? And you just don't want to find yourself at the point that you really need those patents, and looking through your portfolio and finding that you don't really have the patents that you want to have. So patents take a long time. They take years to get, and building out a portfolio takes many years. So once you need them, it's really too late. It's really too late. There's not much you can do to very quickly build up a patent portfolio, unfortunately. So you can find yourself in a situation where a strategy, a bad strategy, or a strategy that you haven't examined or thought about is not going to help you for what you need your patents for. So when you're talking about budget challenges, often it's about pruning your portfolio. As you may find, there's things that you thought would be very promising technology, but as it turns out, there was no market for it, or the market didn't develop, or you were too early, or something like that. Going through and knowing what each and every one of the patents are about, and you can have your counsel summarize those. You can hire a consultant to go through and summarize those. You can have those categorized. I regularly use consulting firms to categorize all the patents, summarize them, go about ranking them at least on objective measures. But then also within the enterprise, you might have somebody go through and rank them on how important they are to the enterprise. And then surgically going through and cutting back. Patents after they issue have maintenance fees associated with them. And those maintenance fees can be quite expensive. It's not unusual for companies to spend 10 to 20% of their overall patent budget on maintenance fees. So if you can cut out some cases that have no value anymore, or perhaps license them off or auction them off, so that you have more money to put against the more important areas. But inertia can be the enemy of your budget, as you have a certain strategy, whether it be which areas you file in or which countries. That it comes up a lot where enterprises have aspirations to get into particular markets that they think are going to be very important. And as it turns out, they're just not. The business really never developed in those areas, and they may have a huge patent portfolio that they're pursuing that really is not going to help them out in any real way. So going through and realigning your portfolio with what the landscape looks like today, and if you might pay to have that analysis done or a landscape study, so that you can deliberately and with proper knowledge go through and get rid of the stuff that doesn't matter. And whether you're just cutting back budget or you're reallocating budget, it might be that frees up some of your budget for something else somewhere. But inertia, just following through on filings that you did because the person before you or somebody else decided that was the thing to do, that's where you really get in trouble. And whether you get one of these studies done or have an IP audit done to go about figuring it out, but you want to figure it out and deliberately and purposefully and surgically cut away the things that don't matter anymore. So I hope that helps and answers your question. If you have any follow-up or any comments, please leave them in below, and we'll try and address them in a future video. Thank you.